Massive stones across the globe hum with a hidden energy. Ancient megalithic temples were not just monuments for rituals, they were sophisticated power plants. This video explores a theory that rewrites history, revealing how these structures harnessed the Earth's own forces. You will uncover the evidence that these sites formed a global energy network, a secret hidden in plain sight for thousands of years. How did the builders of the pyramids and Stonehenge master such technology? By the end, you will see these silent ruins as active, humming components of a lost science. What does our modern world stand to learn from these ancient power systems? The weight of a single stone at Baalbek exceeds 1,000 tons. Moving such a block with modern machinery would be a monumental challenge, yet ancient cultures did it repeatedly and with astonishing precision. This was not brute force, it was the application of a lost science, a deep understanding of the natural world that we are only beginning to rediscover. The core hypothesis is both simple and profound. These builders were not just stacking rocks, they were master engineers of Earth energies, acoustics, and electromagnetism, weaving these invisible forces directly into their architecture. Look at the universal features found from Peru to Egypt. The stones are cut with such exactness that a razor blade cannot fit between them. This was not merely for aesthetic grandeur. This perfect fitting creates a sealed environment, a controlled chamber for energy to flow and resonate. These structures are also precisely aligned with celestial bodies, tracking the sun, moon, and stars with an accuracy that rivals our own instruments. This points to a shared, advanced understanding of the cosmos and its relationship with our planet. The locations were not chosen at random. Each sacred site sits atop a unique geological feature, a place where the Earth's crust is thin or where specific crystalline rocks are found. These spots act as natural power conduits, amplifiers for the planet's own subtle vibrations. The temple was simply the antenna, the receiver, and the battery all in one. So the question shifts from how they moved the stones to why they went to such incredible lengths. They were building something far more sophisticated than a tomb or a place of worship. They were constructing a global network of power plants, tapping into the very pulse of the Earth itself. Granite, the stone of choice for so many ancient builders, holds a secret. It is not just a durable rock, it is packed with tiny crystals of quartz, a mineral with a remarkable property. When you squeeze or vibrate quartz, it generates a small electric charge. This is not magic. It is a fundamental principle of physics called the piezoelectric effect. Modern technology uses this same principle in everything from your wristwatch to the microphone in your phone. But what if the ancients were using it on a massive scale? The sheer weight of these granite blocks, some weighing hundreds of tons, created immense constant pressure. Then add in the subtle, endless vibrations of the Earth itself. Even minor seismic activity, the kind that happens every day and is barely felt, would have been enough to set these stones humming with a low-level electrical charge. The entire structure becomes a giant natural battery, passively generating power from the very ground it stands on. Think of the Great Pyramid. Its inner chambers are built from massive granite blocks. Enclosed within that immense stone structure, these chambers would have been under tremendous stress, a perfect environment for the piezoelectric effect to occur. The pyramid was not just a silent tomb. It may have been a highly efficient energy converter, its granite heart constantly transforming planetary vibrations into usable power. This explains the meticulous selection of materials. Why transport granite for hundreds of miles when local limestone was available? Because the builders were not just constructing. They were engineering, Every footstep across a granite-paved courtyard, every distant tremor, every beat of a ceremonial drum could have contributed to a cumulative energy harvest. The temple itself was alive, breathing in the energy of the world and converting it into something extraordinary. Sound is the second great force these ancient engineers mastered. Deep beneath the island of Malta lies the Hal Saflieni Hypogeum, an underground labyrinth carved from solid stone. Within its most famous chamber, known as the Oracle Room, a single spoken word can resonate with such power that the sound vibrates through your entire body. This is not a natural echo. It is a precise acoustic effect engineered into the very shape of the rock. The chamber is tuned to a specific frequency, amplifying certain sounds to an extraordinary degree. Imagine standing in that space, your voice transformed into a physical force that you can feel in your bones. What purpose could such a powerful phenomenon have served? Legends from cultures worldwide speak of sonic technology, of priests or shamans who used chants and specific tones to perform seeming miracles. Some stories even tell of massive stones being moved through the air, guided only by sound. While that may sound like fantasy, modern science offers a fascinating parallel. Laboratory experiments have shown that when an object is exposed to its precise resonant frequency, it can begin to vibrate intensely. At a high enough amplitude, this vibration can counteract gravity, causing droplets of water or even small particles to levitate. This principle, acoustic levitation, is a real physical phenomenon. Now scale that idea up. What if these ancient temples were not just buildings but finely tuned instruments? Their specific dimensions, their curved walls, and the materials they were built from could have been designed to resonate with the Earth's own vibrations or with ritual chants. A chamber like the Oracle Room might have been a focal point, concentrating sonic energy to a degree where it could influence physical matter. This goes far beyond simple amplification. It suggests a technology that used vibration to tap into unseen forces, perhaps for healing, for energy generation, or for purposes we have yet to understand. The silent, empty halls we see today were once alive with a hum of purposeful sound, a hidden power source whose key we are still trying to find. The stones themselves seem to listen to the planet. Beyond their acoustic properties, these ancient sites display a third, even more profound alignment. They are oriented to the invisible forces of the Earth itself, its magnetic fields. The Great Circle of Stonehenge, for instance, sits directly atop a powerful magnetic anomaly. The compass needles of early surveyors would famously spin and behave erratically within the stone circle, a phenomenon confirmed by modern geomagnetic surveys that detect unusual energy patterns pulsing through the ground. This was not a coincidence. It was a deliberate choice of location, a place where the Earth's own energy was most accessible. This idea extends across the globe in the form of ley lines, a hypothetical network of energy pathways that crisscross the planet. Proponents of this theory point to the uncanny alignment of sacred sites, from the Temple of Apollo at Delphi in Greece to the Great Pyramid in Egypt, all positioned along these straight, energetic tracks. Think of it as a planetary web, with each temple acting as a vital node, a power station amplifying and distributing energy across the network. The builders seem to be tapping into telluric currents, the subtle electrical flows that move through the ground and the crust of the Earth. How did ancient cultures identify these powerful spots without our modern instruments? The practice of dowsing, using simple rods or pendulums to detect underground water or energy, may provide a clue. While often dismissed, dowsers consistently report intense reactions at these ancient sites, suggesting a sensitivity to the very energies the builders sought to harness. This points to a deep, intuitive understanding of the living Earth, a science that integrated observation with a felt sense of the land. The placement of these monuments was a conscious effort to integrate architecture with the planet's natural dynamics. They were not built against the landscape, but in concert with it. By positioning their temples at these energetic hotspots, the builders created a perfect feedback loop. The Earth's magnetic and electrical energies would flow into the structure, where the piezoelectric granite and the resonant acoustic chambers could then convert and amplify that power. The entire system was alive, a symbiotic relationship between human engineering and planetary force. What kind of civilization could perceive and build upon such an invisible foundation, and what became of their global power grid? Water flows through these sacred sites like a hidden electrical current. At the ancient city of Tiwanaku in Bolivia, you find a network of intricate aqueducts and channels that seem to serve more than just irrigation. They guide water with a precision that mirrors modern hydroelectric engineering. The builders carved these waterways to direct the flow across and through specific types of stone, particularly those rich in quartz. When water moves rapidly over or through such piezoelectric materials, the pressure and friction can generate measurable electrical charges. This is the same principle that lights up the piezoelectric spark igniter on your gas grill, but scaled to a monumental level. The entire system becomes a dynamic power generator, where the mere act of water flowing down a carved channel could produce a steady, low-level current. This goes beyond symbolism. At Machu Picchu, stone-lined channels carry water from mountain springs directly through the heart of the sanctuary. The sound of that flowing water would have created a constant, resonant hum within the granite structures, a vibration that could have amplified the piezoelectric effect from the stones themselves. Water was not just a resource for life, it was a functional component, a catalyst that brought the entire system to life. The submerged monuments off the coast of Yonaguni in Japan present an even deeper mystery. These massive terraced structures now lie beneath the waves, constantly bathed by ocean currents. Could their submersion be part of their original function? The relentless energy of the sea, pushing and pulling against the stone, would have created a perpetual state of piezoelectric stimulation. Perhaps these were not cities that sank, but power stations designed to operate within the planet's most powerful energetic medium. The presence of water at these sites connects them all in a global pattern of hydrological engineering. It suggests the ancients saw a living energy in moving water, a force they could harness by combining it with their knowledge of resonant stone. They built not just with rock, but with the very pulse of the planet, channeling rivers and tides into a silent, self-sustaining power supply. What other secrets are still flowing in the sacred waters of these ancient places? The sky itself may have been the final piece of this ancient power grid. While we have explored the energies of the earth, stone, and water, the celestial realm offered its own immense and predictable force. Temples across the world are locked in a precise dance with the sun, moon, and stars, their alignment so accurate they could only be the product of advanced astronomical observation. But what if this was more than just a sophisticated calendar? What if it was a method for harvesting cosmic energy? Take Newgrange in Ireland, a massive 5,000-year-old mound built with a small, carefully engineered opening above its entrance. For just a few minutes at sunrise on the winter solstice, a narrow beam of sunlight pierces this roof box, traveling down a long, dark passageway to illuminate the central chamber deep within the heart of the structure. This is not a vague alignment, it is a precise and dramatic light injection, an event that would have flooded the inner sanctum with a sudden, intense burst of solar radiation. Imagine the impact within that sealed, resonant space. The sudden warmth and light would cause the air and stone to expand minutely, creating a pressure wave. If the chamber walls were lined with piezoelectric quartz, This thermal shock could have generated a significant, timed electrical pulse. This was not merely a symbolic rebirth of the sun. It could have been an annual charging event, a way to energize the entire structure using the power of a specific celestial moment. These alignments extend far beyond the solstices. The Great Pyramid's descending passages are aimed directly at specific pole stars, while many Mesoamerican temples are oriented to the sweeping path of Venus. This suggests a system synchronized with longer cosmic cycles, perhaps designed to capture different types of stellar radiation or energies we are only beginning to comprehend. The builders were not just stargazers, they were cosmic engineers using their monuments as finely tuned receivers to draw power from the heavens above, synchronizing their earthly technology with the grand clockwork of the universe. The silent stones awaited their celestial cue, and when the stars aligned, the entire temple may have hummed to life, powered by the light of a distant sun. The Great Pyramid of Giza stands as the ultimate expression of this ancient technology. Its internal chambers tell a story far removed from the silent tombs of traditional archaeology. Deep within its core, the so-called King's Chamber is constructed from massive blocks of red granite, a stone packed with piezoelectric quartz. This chamber is not merely a room. It is the central power unit of a colossal machine. The weight of the pyramid above presses down on these granite walls with unimaginable force, creating a constant state of piezoelectric stress. The entire structure acts like a tuning fork for the Earth's vibrations, converting that subtle hum into a measurable electrical charge. But how was this energy harnessed and used? A controversial theory suggests the pyramid did not just generate power, it transmitted it. The narrow shafts that run from the inner chambers towards the outer surface were not simply air vents for the dead. They may have been waveguides designed to channel a specific form of energy. Researchers have proposed that if water were pumped into the pyramid's subterranean passages, it could have reacted with the limestone and metals present to produce hydrogen gas. This hydrogen, rising through the confined shafts, could then have been excited by the piezoelectric energy from the granite, potentially generating a powerful microwave emission. This might sound like science fiction, but it offers an explanation for one of the pyramid's greatest mysteries. No soot from torches or lamps has ever been found inside the main chambers. If the ancient builders did not use fire for light, how did they see to work in those deep, windowless spaces? The answer could be that they did not need torches. If the pyramid was functioning as designed, the chambers themselves would have been lit with a cool, wireless form of energy, a form of resonant induction that could power crystal-powered lamps or other devices without any visible flame. This theory completely rewrites the pyramid's purpose. It was not a sealed tomb for a pharaoh, but a dynamic, active power plant, its grand gallery acting as a resonant sound chamber to amplify vibrations and its shafts tuned to broadcast energy. The evidence is etched into the very stone, the absence of soot, the precise selection of materials, and the mind-boggling alignment with both earth and sky. This was not a monument to death, but a vibrant engine of life, a testament to a science so advanced we are only now beginning to decipher its principles. What other truths are waiting to be unlocked from the world's most famous ancient wonder? Stonehenge stands as a silent sentinel on the Salisbury Plain, a circle of stones that hums with an invisible energy. Modern geomagnetic surveys have repeatedly confirmed that the site is an electromagnetic hotspot, a place where the Earth's own magnetic field intensifies in strange and unpredictable ways. This effect becomes especially pronounced during solar storms, when charged particles from the sun bombard our atmosphere. At these moments, the energy readings at Stonehenge can spike dramatically, suggesting the monument acts as a natural amplifier for cosmic and terrestrial forces. But why here? The answer may lie not just in the arrangement of the stones, but in their very substance. Many of the inner circle stones, known as blue stones, were transported over 150 miles from the Preseli Hills in Wales. This was a Herculean logistical feat, begging the question of why these specific stones were so crucial. Geological analysis reveals that these blue stones are rich in magnetic minerals and contain a high density of crystalline quartz. They are not merely rocks, they are naturally formed conductors, chosen for their unique ability to interact with electromagnetic fields. Imagine the entire circle as a sophisticated electrical component. The towering sarsen stones, acting as a framework, could have channeled energy into the central horseshoe of conductive blue stones. This arrangement might have functioned as a massive capacitor, storing environmental energy, or as a resonator, tuning into the planet's subtle magnetic vibrations. The precise positioning of the stones, aligned with solstice sunrises and lunar standstills, suggests these astronomical events served as a timed trigger. When the sun or moon reached a specific point in the sky, it could have been the switch that activated the entire system, causing the accumulated energy to resonate or discharge for a purpose we can only guess at. Was this a form of ancient communication, a method for healing, or a way to influence the local environment? The silent stones hold their secret, but the energy they gather still pulses through the ground, a ghost of a forgotten technology waiting to be understood. Deep beneath the temple of Apollo at Delphi, the earth itself spoke. The famed oracle, the Pythia, did not deliver her prophecies from a random spot on the mountainside. She sat directly over a geological fault line, a crack in the planet's crust that released more than just mysterious vapors. This was a place of immense subterranean pressure, where the grinding of tectonic plates created constant, low-level seismic activity. Every subtle tremor and earth shift did more than induce a trance in the priestess. It physically stressed the very stones of the temple, particularly the limestone and quartz-rich rock that formed its foundation. With every grind and shift, these stones were squeezed, generating small but cumulative electrical charges through the piezoelectric effect. The temple was not merely built on a sacred site. It was constructed atop a natural power generator. The trance states of the Pythia, long attributed to intoxicating gases rising from the fissure, may have had another, more physical component. What if she was also being exposed to these subtle electromagnetic fields? Modern research shows that low-frequency electromagnetic stimulation can affect brain activity, sometimes inducing vivid visions or altered states of consciousness. The combination of light hydrocarbon gases and a steady, imperceptible hum of energy from the stones could have created the perfect environment for her prophetic utterances. This merges the mystical with the mechanical. The divine voice of Apollo, as channeled through the Pythia, may have been quite literally powered by the living, moving earth. The priests who interpreted her cryptic words were not just spiritual guides. They could have been the technicians of a sacred technology, overseeing a system that harnessed geological stress to produce both energy and profound human experience. The prophecies that shaped the fate of nations, the decisions of kings, all may have originated from a deep understanding of the planet's hidden power. What other ancient oracles sat atop similar geological power sources, their wisdom flowing from the charged bedrock below? Angkor Wat's vast moats are far more than defensive barriers. They form a hydraulic circuit, a carefully engineered network of canals and reservoirs that channeled water throughout the entire temple city. This was not merely for irrigation or ceremony. The sandstone blocks used to construct Angkor are rich in quartz minerals, the same piezoelectric substance found in the granite of other ancient sites. When millions of gallons of water flow steadily against and over these stone embankments, the constant pressure and friction generate a subtle but persistent electrical charge. This turns the entire temple complex into a fluid-driven power source, where the movement of water itself becomes a form of fuel. Imagine the energy potential as the monsoon rains filled the reservoirs, sending powerful currents through the meticulously carved channels. The system was designed for perpetual motion, a cycle of collection, flow, and release that kept the stones humming with a low-level current. Could this energy have been harnessed for practical purposes? The sheer scale of the hydraulic engineering suggests a function beyond the symbolic. Perhaps the inner sanctums of the temple, lined with specific conductive stones, were illuminated not by smoky torches but by the gentle, wireless glow of piezoelectricity, a cool light born from the marriage of water and stone. Satellite imagery reveals an even grander design. The main temple towers are aligned with the sun on the equinoxes, while the sprawling layout of the canals and causeways mirrors celestial patterns seen in the night sky. This was a holistic system where hydrology, astronomy, and energy science were woven into a single fabric. The water flowing through the moats was not just moving. It was pulsing in time with the cosmos, its energy potential synchronized with the positions of the sun and stars. Angkor Wat stands as a breathtaking testament to a civilization that saw no separation between the sacred and the functional. Every channel, every tower, every carved sandstone block was part of an integrated machine, a living engine that drew power from the earth, the water, and the heavens above. Easter Island's silent giants stand guard over more than just a remote shoreline. The massive moai statues, with their distinctive red stone topknots, are positioned along precise coastal pathways that modern researchers now recognize as powerful energy lines. These are not random monuments, they are markers on a vast, invisible grid placed where the Earth's telluric currents meet the ocean's pulse. The stone from which they were carved offers the first clue. The moai are hewn from compressed volcanic tuff, a material rich in magnetic basalt and crystalline inclusions. When this stone interacts with moisture, a fascinating process begins. Beneath the island lies a complex network of underground water tables, freshwater lenses that float atop the denser saltwater. As tides ebb and flow, they exert immense pressure on these aquifers, pushing water vertically through the porous volcanic rock. This constant hydraulic pressure, acting upon the piezoelectric crystals within the stone, could have generated a continuous, low-level electrical charge. Each statue planted firmly in the ground would have functioned as a conduit, drawing this subtle energy upward from the earth. Local legends powerfully support this idea. For generations, the Rapa Nui people have spoken of the statue's mana, a spiritual force or power that emanated from them. This was not a vague metaphysical concept. It may have been the local understanding of a very real, measurable energy field, a vibrational charge that the statues were designed to accumulate and radiate. The iconic red topknots or pukao, carved from a different, iron-rich scoria rock, might have served as a final component. Placed atop the moai, these caps could have acted as capacitors, concentrating the energy drawn from below and creating a stronger, more focused field around each figure. The profound isolation of Easter Island makes this sophisticated engineering even more astounding. How did a culture with no visible outside contact develop such a precise understanding of geophysical forces? They must have possessed an intimate, empirical knowledge of their land, reading the subtle signs of energy in the ground and learning to amplify them through monumental stone. The moai were not inert idols, they were active elements in a living landscape, transformers that converted the island's hidden hydraulic and geological energy into a tangible force, a mana that once truly hummed across the slopes of Rano Raraku. What other ancient wonders were built not just to be seen, but to actively channel the hidden power of their surroundings? The builders went further than just selecting the right stones. They embedded the very heart of the earth within their walls. Beyond the pervasive quartz in granite, many temples feature specific crystals like obsidian and jade, minerals long revered for their unique energetic properties. Obsidian, a volcanic glass, can hold a sharp electrical charge, while jade is known for its ability to amplify energy. These were not merely decorative treasures. They were functional components, strategically placed like circuit boards within the stone. Imagine a crystal of obsidian set at the precise focal point of a resonant chamber, or a vein of jade running through a key architectural joint. These minerals could have acted as energy lenses, concentrating the diffuse power generated by the larger structure into a potent, usable flow. In the deep jungles of Central America, discoveries hint at this advanced application. Crystal artifacts, including the famous and enigmatic crystal skulls, have been found in contexts suggesting they were more than ritual objects. A skull carved from a single piece of pure quartz crystal possesses perfect piezoelectric properties. Placed within a temple's energy field, such an object could theoretically resonate, store energy, and even focus it with laser-like precision. Smaller crystal inlays found in wall carvings or altars might have served as control points or terminals, places where this harnessed power could be accessed or directed. This deliberate incorporation reveals a layer of sophistication we are only beginning to appreciate. The ancient engineers were not just master architects. They were expert mineralogists possessing a profound understanding of the subtle differences between rock types. They knew that jade could magnify a charge, that obsidian could hold it, and that quartz could generate it. This knowledge was seamlessly woven into their construction techniques, creating structures that were not passive monuments but active, dynamic systems. The stones were the generators, and the crystals were their finely tuned controls. What other technological secrets are still locked within these crystalline inclusions, waiting for our science to finally catch up? The very shape of these temples was a secret weapon for harnessing sound. Walk into the grand gallery of the Great Pyramid, and your whisper travels upward with impossible clarity, carried along the soaring, corbelled ceiling. This is not an accident of construction. It is acoustic engineering on a monumental scale. The precise angles of the walls and ceiling were calculated to reflect and channel sound waves, guiding them to specific points within the structure. In Mayan temples like the one at Chichen Itza, a hand clap at the base of the towering staircase returns not as a simple echo, but as a chirping cascade of sound, a perfect mimicry of the sacred Quetzal bird. This phenomenon is created by the sound waves bouncing off the steep, stepped layers of the pyramid, each step acting like a tiny, staggered reflector that breaks the single clap into a rapid series of echoes. The builders were not just creating special effects, they were designing environments where sound could be controlled and focused with scientific precision. Within these resonant chambers, specific frequencies could be amplified into standing waves, patterns of energy that appear to stand still, vibrating with immense power. Modern experiments in sacred geometry and acoustics have shown that frequencies like 111 Hz, a tone commonly found in ancient sites, can have a profound effect on the human brain. When volunteers are exposed to this frequency, brain scans show a noticeable decrease in activity in the language centers of the prefrontal cortex, coupled with a shift towards the right hemisphere, which is associated with intuition, creativity, and a trance-like state. Imagine the impact during an ancient ritual, a chorus of chanting priests, their voices amplified and refined by the temple's architecture, would have filled the space with these consciousness-altering frequencies. The very air would have vibrated, not just heard but felt in the bones and the mind. This was a technology of transcendence, using the physics of sound to open doors of perception, to facilitate healing, or to achieve states of unity consciousness. The temple was a resonant instrument, and its music was a direct key to altered realities. What other profound shifts in human awareness were these ancient architects capable of triggering with nothing more than stone and sound? These individual power plants were not isolated wonders. They formed a planetary web, a coordinated system of energy distribution spanning the globe. Look at a map of the world's ancient sites with this idea in mind, and a startling pattern emerges. The Great Pyramid of Giza, the stone circles of Europe, the temples of Angkor, and the mounds of North America align along great circles and geometric pathways that defy coincidence. These are the ley lines, the hypothetical energy grid that early 20th century researchers first proposed. Modern investigators have since mapped these alignments with satellite technology, revealing a sophisticated network of sacred sites positioned with geometric precision. The pyramids of Giza, for instance, align with the temples of Machu Picchu along a great circle that encircles the Earth. This is not a random scattering of monuments. It is the architecture of a global circuit board, with each temple acting as a vital node, a repeater station that received, amplified, and transmitted energy to the next point in the network. This interconnectedness suggests a staggering level of global communication and planning long before our recorded history. How could cultures separated by vast oceans and impassable mountains possibly coordinate such an endeavor? The implication is that they were not separate cultures in the way we understand them. They may have been the inheritors or regional expressions of a single parent civilization, a global society with a unified scientific understanding of the planet. They shared a common goal: to harness the Earth's energy for a purpose we can only guess at. This was not a collection of primitive rituals. It was a planetary engineering project, a synchronized effort to tune the entire globe to a specific resonance. Imagine the entire Earth humming with this managed energy, a silent, invisible power grid that connected every continent. What catastrophic event, or what gradual loss of knowledge, finally caused this magnificent network to fall silent, leaving behind only scattered ruins and echoes of a forgotten global civilization? The Earth itself has a heartbeat, a steady pulse measured at 7.83 Hz. This is the Schumann resonance, the fundamental frequency at which our planet vibrates, a rhythm so essential that human brainwaves naturally synchronize with it in states of deep relaxation and meditation. This was not a force the ancient builders could afford to ignore. Their temples were not just aligned with this pulse, they were precisely tuned to it, creating a profound harmony between architecture and the living biosphere. In places like the energy vortices of Sedona, Arizona, scientific instruments detect a clear amplification of this very frequency. The red rock formations there act as natural resonators, boosting the Earth's subtle hum into a palpable force that visitors consistently describe as energizing or healing. The ancient architects replicated this natural phenomenon on a grand scale. They designed their stone chambers and passageways to specific dimensions, creating cavities that would naturally resonate at or harmonize with the 7.83 Hz frequency. When the Earth's pulse flowed into these structures, it wouldn't dissipate. It would be captured and amplified, filling the sacred space with a coherent, life-enhancing energy field. This goes beyond power generation into the realm of biological influence. Your brain, when exposed to this specific resonance, shifts its own electrical activity into the calm, receptive alpha and theta states. This is the mental zone of deep meditation, heightened intuition, and restorative sleep. The temple, therefore, was not merely a power plant for abstract energy. It was a tuned environment for human transformation. The same resonant frequency that charged the stones also gently guided the minds of the people within toward states of peace and expanded awareness. The builders were engineering consciousness itself, using the planet's own heartbeat as their tuning fork. They created a perfect feedback loop where the Earth's energy empowered the structure, and the structure, in turn, optimized the human experience. This reveals a technology that saw no separation between the physical and the spiritual, between power and wellness. What would it mean to live in a world where every building was designed to harmonize with the very pulse of life? Legends from every corner of the world whisper the same impossible secret. Massive stones were not dragged but floated into place. An ancient Tibetan text describes the construction of a pyramid using drums and trumpets, their specific tones causing rocks to lift and glide through the air like birds. Similar stories echo from the builders of the pyramids, where priests were said to use spoken words and rods to make blocks of stone levitate. For centuries, these accounts were dismissed as pure mythology, the fanciful exaggerations of primitive cultures. But modern physics is beginning to catch up to these ancient tales. The key lies not in defying gravity, but in manipulating it through resonance. Every object, from a tiny grain of sand to a 100-ton block of granite, has a natural vibrational frequency. When sound matches that exact frequency, the object begins to vibrate in sympathy. At a high enough amplitude, this creates a standing wave, a pattern of energy that can counteract the pull of gravity. In laboratories today, scientists use this principle of acoustic levitation to make water droplets, small pieces of wood, and even tiny electronic components hover in mid-air, suspended in a node of sound. The effect is undeniable. Now scale that idea up with the precision of a megalithic temple. What if the massive stones were not inert dead weight, but were precisely shaped and their composition known to have a specific resonant frequency? What if the entire construction site was an instrument, with priests or engineers using chanting, drums, or even the architecture itself to generate a powerful, focused sound field? In that controlled environment, a multi-ton block could become virtually weightless, guided into place with the gentle push of a hand. This goes beyond moving stones. It suggests a complete re-evaluation of the construction process. The perfect fitting of stones without mortar, the complex interlocking shapes, all of it becomes far more achievable if the builders were working with elements that were, for a moment, as light as air. The legends were not describing magic. They were preserving the memory of a sophisticated technology, a science of vibration that could soften stone and silence gravity. These temples were not built with brute force, but with the focused power of sound, a lost art that turned solid rock into a fluid partner in creation. Beneath the towering pyramids and ornate temples, a hidden world of tunnels and chambers stretches into the deep earth. These are not forgotten crypts or simple storage rooms. They are the hidden arteries of the ancient power grid, a subterranean network designed to tap into the planet's most potent energies. At the Giza Plateau, a labyrinth of caves and aquifers lies directly under the Sphinx and the Great Pyramids. In South America, the sprawling tunnel systems beneath sites like the Temple of the Sun in Cusco channel water directly from mountain springs. These underground pathways served a critical engineering function, acting as conduits for two powerful forces, groundwater and geothermal heat. Water flowing through these confined tunnels, especially when heated by the Earth's core, creates immense pressure against the surrounding rock. When that rock is rich in quartz, this combination of hydraulic force and thermal energy generates a powerful and continuous piezoelectric charge. The tunnels themselves become linear generators, their entire length humming with electrical potential. This energy could then be channeled upward, feeding the structures above like roots nourishing a tree. The strategic placement of these tunnels reveals a deep understanding of hydrogeology. The builders sought out specific aquifers and underground streams, engineering their temples directly atop these natural flow paths. The tunnels did not just carry water, they amplified its energetic effect by forcing it through narrow, resonant passages, increasing its speed and pressure. This is ancient hydraulics merged with energy science, a way to transform the simple, relentless flow of water into a usable, powerful current. The deepest chambers might have acted as energy sinks or capacitors, vast underground rooms where this accumulated power could be stored and stabilized before being distributed throughout the temple complex. The true heart of these sacred sites was not always in the grand halls above, but in the silent, dark spaces below, where the raw, untamed power of the earth was first captured and tamed. A coiled serpent slithers across the temple wall, its stone body carved into a spiral path ascending toward the sky. This powerful image, repeated in cultures separated by oceans, is far more than decoration. From the plumed serpent god Kukulkan at Chichen Itza to the dragon lines of China and the Kundalini serpent of Indian tradition, this universal symbol consistently represents one thing: a raw, primal energy rising from the earth. The ancients were mapping an invisible anatomy, not of the body but of the world itself. They saw the planet as a living being, crisscrossed by energy channels similar to the meridians in acupuncture. These telluric pathways were the planet's life force, and the temples were built directly upon them to interact with this flow. The architectural design makes this connection explicit. Long, winding passageways leading to a central chamber mimic the serpent's journey from the base of the spine to the crown of the head in Kundalini philosophy. The spiral patterns etched into stone at sites like Newgrange are not abstract art. They are schematic diagrams of a vortex, illustrating how energy spirals and concentrates as it moves through a specific point. The temple itself was designed to be a conduit for this earth energy, with its corridors and chambers acting as a deliberate architectural nervous system. The carvings of serpents flanking a doorway or forming a balustrade were not merely symbolic guardians. They were functional markers, indicating the precise paths that this power was meant to travel within the structure, guiding it toward a central sanctum where it could be used or amplified. This fusion of deep symbolism with practical engineering is the masterstroke of this lost science. The serpent was not just a myth, it was a technical manual carved in stone, representing the very real, measurable energy that these builders learned to harness. The temple was a machine, and its symbolic art was the wiring diagram. What other operating instructions for this ancient technology are hidden in plain sight, waiting for us to understand their language? A shadow in the shape of a serpent slithers down the pyramid of Kukulkan at Chichen Itza, but this is no ordinary play of light. This phenomenon, which occurs with clockwork precision during the spring and fall equinoxes, is a perfect demonstration of celestial timing engineered into stone. The pyramid was built to catch the sun at one specific moment, transforming a cosmic event into a terrestrial spectacle, yet the impact may have been far more than visual. During these alignments, sensitive instruments at ancient sites around the world register distinct spikes in electromagnetic activity. The stones themselves seem to wake up, responding to the increased influx of energy from our sun. Solar flares, vast eruptions on the sun's surface, hurl charged particles toward Earth, distorting our planet's magnetic field and creating geomagnetic storms. While we see the northern lights, these temples felt the surge as a power boost, their resonant chambers and piezoelectric stones absorbing this cosmic wind like a battery charging. The builders did not just track these events for a calendar, they built receivers to capture them. An eclipse, which momentarily dims the sun's overwhelming light, could have allowed for the reception of different, more subtle cosmic frequencies, a momentary shift in the energy spectrum that the temples were tuned to detect. This suggests a purpose that was both practical and profound. These bursts of cosmic energy, channeled through the precise geometry of the temple, could have been used to power their most significant rituals or technologies. The Equinox light show at Chichen Itza was not just for the crowds. It was the annual activation of a system, a timed infusion of power that synchronized the earthly temple with the celestial order. What other cosmic switches were these ancient engineers waiting for us to rediscover? Modern technology is now peeling back the layers of Earth and time to reveal the hidden anatomy of these ancient sites. Tools like LiDAR and ground-penetrating radar act as X-ray vision, mapping the ground in 3 dimensions from the air and seeing deep beneath the surface without moving a single stone. What they are discovering provides stunning, tangible evidence for the energy theory. In the jungles surrounding Angkor, LiDAR surveys have exposed a vast, sprawling city previously swallowed by the forest. More importantly, the scans revealed an incredibly complex and extensive hydraulic network, far more sophisticated than anyone had imagined. This was not just a few canals. It was a massive, engineered system designed to control the flow of water with precision across the entire landscape, directly supporting the idea of a temple complex powered by hydraulic pressure. At the Giza plateau, ground-penetrating radar has detected several intriguing anomalies deep beneath the Great Pyramid. These are not natural rock formations. They appear to be man-made voids and chambers, hidden for millennia, that could very well be the subterranean power conduits the theory predicts. Similar scans at Stonehenge have mapped the underground geology in unprecedented detail, confirming that the stones are positioned directly above a web of intersecting underground water streams and geological faults. These are the very sources of the telluric currents and piezoelectric potential we have discussed. The stones were placed with purpose, directly tapping into these subterranean energy flows. The evidence is no longer just philosophical or based on surface observation. We now have hard data showing the deliberate, intricate engineering hidden below our feet. These technological revelations are forcing a dramatic shift in archaeology. The old explanations are crumbling under the weight of new data that shows these sites as profoundly complex machines. The ancient engineers may have concealed their greatest work deep within the earth, not to hide it, but to protect and stabilize the very source of the power they harnessed. What other secrets will we uncover as our own science finally learns to look in the right places? Mainstream archaeology offers a very different blueprint for these ancient sites. The established academic view attributes their construction to purely ritual, social, and political purposes, a perspective grounded in tangible evidence like burial remains, ceremonial artifacts, and hieroglyphic texts. For these scholars, a temple was a house for the gods, a pyramid was a gateway to the afterlife, and a stone circle was a celestial calendar for agricultural and religious festivals. The grand scale of construction, in this view, was a demonstration of a ruler's power and a society's shared belief, not a functional requirement for energy generation. The primary criticism leveled against the power plant theory is a stark one, a profound lack of direct, irrefutable proof. Where are the wires, where are the tools, the insulated conductors, or the clear depictions of this technology in use? Without this physical evidence, skeptics argue, the theory remains in the realm of speculative fiction, a modern projection of our own technological anxieties onto the past. This gap is where the danger of pseudoscience emerges. Some proponents, in their enthusiasm, have been known to cherry-pick data, ignore contradictory evidence, or make sweeping claims that cannot be tested or falsified through the rigorous methodology of science. This undermines the legitimate quest for knowledge and can lead to fantastical narratives that disrespect the cultural and spiritual significance these sites held for their builders. Yet, the persistence of these alternative theories speaks to a deep and valid intuition. The standard explanations often feel incomplete when you stand in the Grand Gallery of the Great Pyramid or feel the resonance in the Hal Saflieni hypogeum. The sheer precision, the astronomical alignment, and the acoustic properties are so advanced, so deliberate, that attributing them solely to ritual feels like an oversimplification. It is the difference between building a cathedral to look impressive and building it to function as a perfect resonant instrument. The counterargument from energy theory proponents is not that rituals did not happen, but that they were the application of the technology, not its primary purpose. Perhaps the chants and ceremonies were designed to activate or direct the energies the structures harvested. The absence of wires is explained by the suggestion that the energy was transmitted wirelessly through resonant induction, a concept our own world is only now embracing. The true value of this debate is not in proving one side definitively right, but in the friction it creates. It forces us to ask harder questions, to look deeper, and to challenge long-held assumptions. It encourages a form of critical thinking that blends open-minded curiosity with disciplined scrutiny. Why should our understanding of the past be static? Perhaps the real mystery is not just the stones, but our own reluctance to consider that an ancient science might have walked a different, equally valid path to understanding the universe. The builders of these global power plants left no instruction manuals behind. Their sophisticated science, which wove together the energies of stone, sound, and sky, seems to have vanished almost overnight from the collective human toolkit. So where did this profound knowledge go? One compelling theory points to a series of global cataclysms, evidence of a massive solar flare around 12,000 years ago, along with geological records of rapid climate shifts and flooding, suggests our planet was struck by a catastrophe. Such an event could have shattered the delicate, interconnected energy grid, plunging the surviving populations into a struggle for mere survival. In the ensuing chaos, the specialized knowledge of the master engineers would have been lost within a single generation, leaving only the silent, incomprehensible ruins as a monument to what once was. Another possibility lies in the slow erosion of a unifying culture. As a global civilization fragmented into isolated tribes and kingdoms, the grand purpose behind the temple network may have faded into obscurity. The precise science of resonance and earth energies devolved into ritual, the functional meaning of the symbols forgotten until only the empty ceremony remained. The knowledge was not destroyed, but simply misunderstood over centuries, its technical core buried under layers of myth and superstition. There are also hints of deliberate suppression. In various periods of history, emerging religious or political powers may have actively dismantled the old ways, seeing this potent earth-based science as a threat to their own authority. The secrets of the stones could have been guarded by secret societies or scattered into obscure oral traditions, encoded to protect them from being erased entirely. This is where folklore becomes a potential treasure map. The universal legends of a great flood, of a golden age, and of gods who taught humanity the arts of civilization may not be mere fables. They could be the simplified, mythological retellings of real historical events and technologies. The story of the Tower of Babel, for instance, could be a metaphor for the collapse of a unified global language and a shared scientific understanding. The tales of Atlantis sinking beneath the waves might encode the memory of a technologically advanced culture lost to a real geological disaster. These stories are the cultural DNA, carrying the ghost of a lost paradigm through thousands of years of retelling. The disappearance of this wisdom stands as a stark warning to our own technologically proud civilization. Our digital archives and vast libraries seem permanent, but they are incredibly fragile, vulnerable to a single electromagnetic pulse or a sustained social collapse. The ancient builders understood something we have forgotten, that true knowledge must be woven into the very fabric of culture, etched into stone and story, so that it can survive even when everything else is lost. Their silent temples are not just ruins, they are a question posed to the future. What essential truths has our own age forgotten, and what will remain of our achievements when we are gone? The silent stones of these ancient temples are more than a historical puzzle. They are a blueprint for a sustainable future. If our ancestors could power their civilization with the subtle vibrations of the planet, why can't we? The principles they mastered are not lost relics, they are untapped solutions to our modern energy crises. Imagine our roadways transformed. Instead of asphalt absorbing the sun's heat, we could pave them with piezoelectric materials. Every passing car, every footstep, every falling raindrop would generate a tiny, continuous current. This is not science fiction. Prototype projects in major cities are already testing sidewalks and dance floors that convert the pressure of human movement into electricity, lighting up street lamps from the energy of the city's own pulse. This is the ancient wisdom of the pyramid's granite blocks applied to our urban landscape. The same concept extends to resonance-based power generation. Modern researchers are developing systems that capture the low-frequency vibrations from factories, subways, and even wind, using tuned resonators to convert that wasted kinetic energy into usable power. This directly mirrors the way a temple's chamber was tuned to the Earth's own frequency, harvesting energy from the ambient hum of existence. These are not replacements for our current grid, but elegant supplements that work in harmony with the environment. Think of the water channels at Angkor generating power from simple flow. We could line our irrigation canals and municipal water pipes with piezoelectric liners, capturing the energy from the water we already move. The potential is staggering, a decentralized network of micro-generators built into the very fabric of our infrastructure. This ancient approach offers a path away from destructive extraction and towards symbiotic generation. It calls for a shift in perspective, from dominating nature to collaborating with it. The key is not to copy their stones, but to understand their philosophy, to see the world as a living, breathing source of power. What if the greatest energy breakthrough of the 21st century was not invented in a lab, but rediscovered in the silent heart of a 5,000-year-old temple? These silent stones may have served a purpose beyond the purely mechanical. While the physical mechanisms for generating power are compelling, many traditions insist these sites were also designed to amplify something far more subtle: human consciousness itself. Pilgrims and mystics have reported profound experiences at these locations for centuries, a sense of deep peace, visionary clarity, or a feeling of being connected to a vast, intelligent whole. These are not random occurrences. They may be the subjective human experience of the very energy fields these structures were built to harness. The temple, in this view, was not just a power plant for lighting chambers, but a resonant chamber for illuminating the mind. Consider the practice of meditation within these sacred spaces. A person sitting in quiet contemplation in the king's chamber of the Great Pyramid or within a stone circle is not just a tourist. They are interacting with the architecture. The specific resonant frequencies engineered into the stone, particularly the 7.83 Hz Schumann resonance, are known to guide the brain into alpha and theta states. These are the brain waves of deep relaxation, heightened intuition, and expanded awareness. The temple becomes a catalyst, its stable, coherent energy field providing an external rhythm that the human brain can synchronize with, effectively lowering its own mental noise and allowing for deeper states of being. This function explains the global tradition of pilgrimage. Why would people travel vast, dangerous distances to reach a specific stone circle or mountain temple? They were drawn by the tangible effect these places had on their inner world. The journey was not just to a location, but toward a transformed state of consciousness. The architecture facilitated this by concentrating and refining the Earth's natural energy, creating an environment optimally suited for prayer, healing, and spiritual insight. The line between the physical and the spiritual begins to blur. The piezoelectric charge in the granite is the physical correlate to the spiritual energy a mystic might feel as a healing vibration. The precisely tuned acoustic frequency that can levitate a water droplet is the same vibration that can lift human awareness beyond its ordinary limits. This suggests the ancient builders operated from a holistic world, where science and spirit were one unified discipline. They engineered with stone to achieve an effect on the soul, creating portals not to other dimensions, but to deeper layers of human potential. What we dismiss as mystical experience may simply be our own consciousness finally tuning into the harmonic frequency of a perfectly engineered sacred space. The true map of this ancient energy grid may still lie incomplete, with its most critical components waiting in the dark. Despite the revelations from LiDAR and ground-penetrating radar, vast portions of our planet remain unexplored with this new lens, particularly the world beneath the waves. The enigmatic structures off the coast of Yonaguni, Japan, with their massive, terraced formations constantly bathed by ocean currents, are a prime target for future investigation. Are these the sunken ruins of a lost power node, designed to operate within the sea's relentless energy field? Only advanced marine archaeology and submersible technology can answer that. The search continues on land as well, with researchers using muon tomography, a technique that uses cosmic rays to see through solid rock, to probe for hidden chambers within the Great Pyramid and other monuments. What will these ghostly images reveal? Perhaps the sealed rooms that hold the final, physical proof of this technology. The greatest breakthroughs will likely come from a fusion of disciplines, where geologists work alongside acoustic engineers and archaeologists consult with particle physicists. This is not a puzzle for one field to solve alone. It requires a willingness to share data and question long-held assumptions. The journey is far from over. Every unopened chamber, every unmapped underwater structure, and every newly deciphered symbol represents a potential key. These silent sites challenge us to look deeper, to question harder, and to remember that our history may be far more mysterious and advanced than we have ever dared to believe. What profound truth is waiting for its moment to be unearthed? Our journey across the silent stones of the world reveals a story written not in words but in energy. We have seen how the very fabric of these temples, from the piezoelectric granite of the pyramids to the resonant chambers of Malta, was engineered to harness the subtle forces of the earth, water, sound, and stars. This was not primitive ritual. It was a sophisticated science of energy manipulation, a lost paradigm that saw the planet as a living, breathing source of power. This knowledge fundamentally challenges our perception of ancient civilizations, forcing us to see them not as superstitious ancestors, but as master engineers who built in harmony with the cosmos. Their legacy is a profound question etched in stone. What can we learn from their symbiotic relationship with the planet? How might their understanding of resonant energy and wireless power shape a more sustainable future for us all? The conversation does not end here. I am deeply curious to hear your thoughts on these mysteries. What sight or piece of evidence resonated most with you? Share your reflections in the comments below and let us continue this exploration together. For those eager to delve deeper into history's greatest enigmas, your subscription would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for joining this investigation into the hidden power of the ancient world.